All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're looking at a piece of wisdom that is centuries old, but honestly, it feels like it was written for right now, for our world of constant pings and never-ending to-do lists. It's this incredible recipe for finding peace, right in the middle of all the chaos.
Does this sound familiar to you? You land that promotion you were working so hard for. You finish a huge project. You hit a personal goal. And there's that brief moment of, yes, I did it! But almost instantly, your brain just jumps to the next thing. It's like you're on this treadmill, running and running, but never really arriving anywhere that feels like lasting satisfaction.
And isn't it amazing that this line, from so long ago, just nails that feeling perfectly? It talks about a deep thirst, a constant wanting that leaves us feeling unfulfilled no matter how much we accomplish. It's a powerful reminder that this feeling isn't a modern invention. It's just a fundamental part of being human.
So what's the way out? Well, this text lays out a really clear choice. And it's not about changing our jobs or our cities, but about choosing our inner mindset. We're presented with two totally different paths that lead to two very, very different places.
And here they are, side by side. On the one hand, you've got the anchored mindset. This is the path to real fulfillment, to peace, to just holistic well-being. And on the other hand, you have the thirsty mindset, which, as the text warns us, is a direct path to dissatisfaction and that feeling of inner distress. Really, understanding this choice is the key to everything else.
So let's explore that first path, the more positive one. What does it actually feel like to live an anchored life? The source paints a really vivid picture, and it's about so much more than just a fleeting good mood. What's so interesting is how this is described. So being satisfied isn't about having everything you want. It's a deep sense of contentment. Then genuinely happy. And I love this next one, free of inner disease. It's such a powerful way to talk about mental well-being, being free from that constant low-level hum of anxiety. And finally, being secure in a place of support. That's about having a solid inner foundation that keeps you steady no matter what life throws at you. Okay, but what about that other path? The text is just as direct about the consequences of living with that constant thirst. It gives us a pretty stark warning about the real cost of a life that feels disconnected. The source uses this number, tens of thousands of illnesses, to describe what happens when someone loses their center. Now, it's not necessarily talking about physical sickness. Think of it more as a metaphor for that overwhelming feeling of modern burnout, the crushing weight of anxiety, and all the different kinds of stress that pile up when we feel lost. Let's just call it what it is, a spiritual illness. It's that feeling of dis-ease, literally, not being at ease with yourself. It's the inner turmoil that shows up when our lives aren't aligned with something deeper, with a real sense of purpose. It's that profound exhaustion that has absolutely nothing to do with how much sleep you got last night. And the text does not pull any punches here. It says that people who forget this inner connection, who live their whole lives in that thirsty mindset, they're considered among the most miserable. It's a really sobering thought, isn't it? A reminder of the incredibly high emotional cost of living a disconnected life. Okay, so if one path leads to fulfillment and the other leads to misery, the big question is, how do we get on the right track? How do we shift from being thirsty to becoming anchored? Well, the good news is the text offers a pretty clear three-part framework for doing just that. The process it lays out is actually pretty actionable. First, seek trusted wisdom. This is all about finding a philosophy or a set of principles that give you a solid foundation to stand on. Second, cultivate your anchor. This means you have to actively work on your connection to your purpose. And finally, live with intention. This means making sure your day-to-day actions are actually in line with that anchor you've cultivated. And this is so important to remember. This is not a one-time fix. It's not a box you just check off and say, okay, I'm anchored now. It's an ongoing practice. It's a daily choice to orient yourself back towards what truly matters to you. This line just sums up the outcomes so beautifully. When you're internally anchored, your actions, your work, how you treat people, your whole way of being in the world, they just start to flow naturally from that intentional place. Simply put, what you focus on is what you become. And in the end, it all comes down to this. This is the personal takeaway at the very end of the text. It's about finding your shelter, your anchor. It's that feeling of your heart being absorbed in something bigger than the daily grind, a sense of purpose that brings a peace that you just can't find anywhere else. So I'll just leave you with this one question to think about. In the middle of all the noise, all the deadlines, all the endless demands on your time and your attention, what is it that holds you steady? What is your anchor?